Ahoy everyone! This is your own, the Medical Futurist. My name is Bertalan Mesko. Welcome to the live Q&A session here on YouTube. I hope that you're having a great day and I will try to further contribute to that. Hopefully everything is working out fine technically here. You've submitted over 100 questions through the website, so I will try my absolute best to answer most of them, of course not all of them. Plus I want to focus on the questions that will come live during the session. And I see that some of you that submitted the questions are already here in the chat. Nice to meet you, all of you here from all these parts of the world, from India to England and Germany. Welcome again to the live Q&A. But before even starting and before sharing some things that we at the Medical Futurist have been working on quite meticulously over the last few months, I hope you don't mind if I try to pick your brain here first. I'm in quite a trouble at the moment. Tomorrow morning, I will give a talk to high school students, and teachers asked me to focus on AI and the future of AI, essentially, in medicine and healthcare. And I have a hard time finding out what major messages I should transmit to those kids. They will be kids between 17 and 18 years of age. And of course, I will describe what a futurist can do and analyze about AI and its evolution. I will talk about the basics like definition, the levels, some very simple methods like machine learning examples that even kids will understand, some potential dangers, some potential advantages. But I have a hard time finding out what should be the actual big message. And as a futurist, I'm on the optimistic side. I always try to provide hope that life can get better because there is not one determined future. There are futures, and we can choose which one could be the one that we could all desire to reach, to achieve. Therefore, if you could help me out with that, I would really appreciate that. What message you think a futurist like me should give to kids between 17 and 18 years of age, so essentially high school students who will go to college and university very soon, and even maybe some of them have even made up their minds. But I would really love to help them to find out how AI, what role AI will play in their lives. And I will talk about like that the responsibility of their generation is to benefit from using this breakthrough technology without losing control. Lynette Pearson, that AI can support you with the work you do, but it doesn't do it for you. It's a very good point. So it's not replacing us in our professions, but it can contribute to what we are doing already. I love that. Elizabeth Santana, constant evolution, no particular IT skills required to learn in this field now. I agree. Maybe prompt engineering is one example or exception in that field that I don't think it's an IT skill, but it's, a skill related to using an IT-based technology. But I agree, constant evolution, okay. That both are great messages, and I think I can achieve them. I really appreciate you helping me out here. I'm sorry for starting the live Q&A with that, but I really, very early next morning, I will drive to a high school not far from my hometown, and I will give a talk to hundreds of high school students who might expect me to give them a vision about a future, which I can do, but I don't want to, alienate them from this technology or frighten them too much. Doris Simeonov, ask them to consider how they can help co-create a future that they desire. Oh, it's a very nice point. You must be a futurist yourself. And Sheila, your passion for AI will stand out. Thank you, Sheila. Hopefully. And Mercy Badada, how can AI assist in early disease attack? Oh, that's a question already for a Q&A. I will start with your question. I promise you. I just spend like 1-2 more minutes on this issue. Of course, Catherine, thank you for being here for so long. The live recording will be up on the YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it anytime you want. Thank you for just spending these few minutes with us. All right, thank you so much for the help. Actually, you did help me with finding out the right message. I have the presentation already, of course, lined up, and everything about AI with basic, key terms will be explained, but helping them to understand that they can create the future themselves, and they might ask themselves the question how to use this amazing technology to get to that desired future. I love it. I will make sure to include these in the final session. So thank you for the help out here. So Mercy, how can AI assist in early diagnosis, disease detection and diagnosis. Well, AI can help in tasks that are repetitive and or data-based. Both disease detection and diagnosis, or if maybe the two are almost the same, include a lot of data analysis. And that's where I can get into the picture. Because you can measure like ECG about your heart condition, but you need someone to analyze the ECG. But what if that's a repetitive and database task and machine learning models can be trained to analyze that for us? That's what these ECG connected, smartphone connected ECGs have been doing with machine learning. So whatever data analysis is involved, AI could play a role. Elizabeth, thank you for the tip. I will encourage experimentation. So I will encourage them to use ChatGPT and generative AI tools and just play with those tools so they will get a better sense about what relationship they can build with those technologies. Hi, from Nigeria. Mark Layden. AI will change everything in your life. It's up to you if in a positive or negative way. The future is in your hands. Absolutely. That's what I believe in, even as a futurist, as an objective researcher. But I believe that we can find out which desired futures we should try to achieve and then reverse engineer what we have to do today to get to those desired visions. Of course, I will address privacy and risks and even trust, how much time it takes to build trust with such systems. I will address bias and the importance of patient design, besides the obvious advantages. Very briefly, the reason why we are here is that I have two things to share with you that we have been working on for so many months since the end of last year. The first is an ebook we just published. I just shared the link in the chat. It's called 100 Questions and Answers about AI in Healthcare. And to be honest with you, you motivated us to write that ebook because of your amazing and thoughtful questions that you keep on asking on this channel and doing live Q&As. We thought that we should put them, the very best of those questions, into one quite comprehensive, quite extended ebook format. And we also tried a new format. It's kind of a report. It's very visual. It's full of figures and statistics and infographics that will help better understand all the answers that I provided for those questions. And one more thing that I'm even more excited about, if that's possible at all, is a short course that we've been working on for so long. It's called A Short Guide to Generative AI in Healthcare. You might know that on thinkific.com we already have two extensive courses, one about the basics of digital health and future studies, and the other one is about artificial intelligence in medicine and healthcare. Everything you have to know about this breakthrough technology in our context, in our healthcare domain. But both courses are quite long. It might take even one day to complete those extensive, comprehensive courses. And I thought that there would be a need for a very short format, like a fast track format, a course you can finish in 1 or 2 hours while having 1 or 2 cups of coffee or tea. That's the idea. And still provide an absolutely crystal clear understanding about a specific topic, this time generative AI. So in the fast track course, we describe everything about generative AI, the basics, what it means, how it's different from the traditional sense of AI, real-life case studies, regulation, risks, advantages, everything one needs to know about generative AI, this really amazing technology. So, Mercy, the recorded video will be on the YouTube channel of the Medical Futurist, and you will find under live. If you click on live, you will find all the Q&A live recordings from the past few years. All right. Jordanota, I'm a university instructor and have a huge problem with students using AI to answer essay questions, cheating. Any suggestions on how to address this issue? I feel for you. I have 2 university courses at my 2 medical schools, and I always need students to submit essays, science fiction, short stories about an era of a paradigm shift in medicine and healthcare, or a press release from the future about the medical technology going berserk, stuff like that. And about 2,000 essays, the ones I have reviewed in the last 3 years. So I feel for you. Now, after reviewing that many essays, I can just tell by looking at the first few paragraphs if it was written by ChatGPT or not. But to make sure that I remain as objective as possible, I use a tool called gpt0.com. And when I have a hunch that the essay was written or mostly written by AI, I copy the essay, I paste it into gpt0.com, a free tool, and it will give me an estimation, what the chance is, the probability that that essay was written by AI. And when it's like above like 70, 80%, I just reject the essay and then tell the students quite transparently that your essay was rejected because based on GPT-0's assessment, it was written or mostly written by AI. Please give it another go. And I think it helps clear up this issue. Kwame, thank you for the tip. Lynette Pearson, which generative AI service do you think performs best when looking at healthcare topics? Any with curated data, lakes only including credible sources? Well, the issue with that is that out of those that are publicly available, I think ChatGPT, GPT-4 is far the best. But of course, a large language model like ChatGPT trained on medical databases and textbooks would be the absolute best source here. Examples would include MedPalm too, that DeepMind has developed, but those are not available to the public yet. So I think those will be the best, but we cannot use them yet. We have to settle with ChatGPT-like tools and ask it to provide the resources, the references it used to come up with an answer. Jeff Middleton, you could compare human intelligence over the ages to artificial intelligence over the last few decades. How one must lead the other and the value of education in the evolution that is coming. I'm not sure if I understand the question. Could you please, Jeff, just elaborate a little bit on that? Oh, Giordanotta, I agree that you use 3 AI checkers to make sure you are being fair. Plus, we have to, as educators, we have to trust our hunch. And after we've reviewed so many of these essays, I think at some point we can tell if something was written by AI or not. I don't even care if the review, the essay is not, beautifully written, or if it's shorter than it could be if written by AI. But I want them to spend time thinking about the future. And we can only do that if they actually sit down and try to write an essay. All right. Joseph M. Picas have this question, very simple question, but it's not as simple as it might seem. Are we in a hype? Absolutely. We are in a hype period. We used to be in a hype of AI. Every company claims that they use AI today, but we are living now in the generative AI hype era. And hopefully we will get over that as soon as possible so we can focus on the evidence-based issue and aspect of this breakthrough technology. Perplexity is also great. I haven't been using that one, but I think there are at least a dozen tools like that. I use the ones that don't require me to register, just copy paste the text and give me an assessment right away. And GPT-0 has been doing that for me. All right. I love this question. Mo Casti had the question. Can AI replace doctors in the future? Diagnose and treat patients. Those are quite 2 different questions. First of all, I've written an article about this exact issue because, of course, I've been getting this question for hundreds of times. And my general take on this is that AI will not replace physicians, but those physicians that use AI will replace those that do not. Simply because of the huge amounts of data physicians will need to and have already need to deal with every day, it will be impossible to treat patients without using some sort of AI. But the second part of your question is different from the first one. Of course, it's possible already to diagnose and treat patients by using AI. There are, I think now, hundreds, if not thousands of publications, peer-reviewed studies showing and proving that certain machine learning-based technologies can be used for very specific medical or healthcare purposes, for reducing administration burden, for diagnosing patients with Alzheimer's disease or dementia based on phone recordings, a lot of examples out there. For treating, maybe how generative AI has been used for drug design and drug repurposing could be a good example. But it's a trickier issue than diagnosing patients in the first place. Philip Libman had quite a long but very thoughtful question. Clinicians are concerned about the validity and accuracy of the answers to treatment questions. Given the often wide-ranging options to complex situations, how can generative AI assist in providing helpful answers? I think generative AI is only as good as the prompt we feed it with. It's the same as AI is only as good as the data we feed it with. In this case, the AI is generative AI, like a large language model, and the data is the prompt that we are using, the brief, the text-based question we are using to get the outcome we are looking for. And if you get better at prompt engineering, and I think you have a higher chance of getting the answer you were looking for. But it's not like something like a Pandora's box that you know exactly what to ask and it will open and you will get what you want and it will be, dangerous. It's more about learning how to get better at prompt engineering, and this way I will get better and better responses. I like to think about generative AI in this respect as an extremely smart person that I met for the first time in my life, and they know nothing about me. So the better I can describe my situation, my stage at which I'm in my profession, the challenge I face, the question I ask, the better response I will get. Minakshi Sahu, I think I have like 30 videos on this YouTube channel about different aspects of AI, and I hope that you will find them useful. Lynette, you're right. It seems that your mindset needs to shift to get the most from AI. It's a great assistant, but still needs you to add value on top of its output. Where's the message for the students tomorrow? Exactly. Because now everyone can create AI-generated content, but nobody wants to digest that content. If the article was written by AI and you find it out, you will stop reading that. If the video is a deepfake and you find out, you will stop watching that. So if the podcast was made by a generative AI-based agent, of course, you will stop listening to that. So that's an excellent point. It's just here to assist us, but it can be the assistant people have always looked for. But for that, we need to learn how to use it. And just for a second, I want to show you or share with you, if I haven't shared it yet, the scientific paper I published about prompt engineering, because it includes an infographic about the basic tips and tricks about getting better at prompt engineering. What about prevention? How can we utilize AI in a corporate wellness setting to provide data that would lead to interventions to help maintain the employees' overall health and wellness? I would put a large amount of money on the fact that Omada Health has been doing that already. I think what matters here is that a company doesn't just want to use AI to make more money, but a company has expertise and they develop technologies in the employee wellness space, and they have a track record and they have published studies. And now, as they're getting better and they are trying to scale up, they can turn to AI to make that transition, that scale up even better. Omada Health. I think they are, let me share it with you in the chat. I think they are maybe the biggest players in, at least in the US employee wellness program. And I'm pretty sure they use AI already in what they do. Pretty Samuel had this question. How can AI be applied at the basic and translational oncology research? It's a very good question to ask, and it's a very hard question to ask because the profession of being a researcher is so diverse. It includes such a wide range of tasks that, of course, you can't include the use of AI in each of them. But whenever it comes to writing or summarizing things or ideation, so using generative AI to throw forth and back ideas and opinions and issues, I think large language models do an excellent job. So maybe that's I think that's definitely a task or a domain where AI can be used. Plus, in drug design, in designing treatment plans, and in oncology research, in decision support, AI has an incredibly clear place. IBM Watson was the biggest player in that, but since they vanished from the market, many of the smaller companies and startups took their place. So AI has a future in oncology research and decision making. Carlos Amato, healthcare architect, interested in your thoughts on how you see AI change future hospital planning and design. Maybe if I remember it right, maybe you had a question submitted also through the online site. It's a very good question to ask because I don't know the answer to that. We have spent, the medical futurists, we have spent a lot of time with experts about hospital design. We published analysis about the point of care, how it will change, the brilliant examples about hospital design, all these. But to include AI in the process, I haven't seen examples about. I'm sure there are, but I don't have supervision over, projects in architects. But to be honest with you, I would be much happier to see patient design being implemented in hospital design before even architects and designers would turn to AI for help, I guess, in design or in repetitive parts of their tasks. So I'm afraid I haven't come across examples in that. Doris Siminov, I attended a talk recently where the comments in the chat were AI generated, which made me question if the video was live. It's a very sad thing to hear, to have AI generated comments. I hope it never happens on this channel. Mercy, how does telemedicine use AI to enhance diagnostic accuracy during remote consultations? I'm not sure if it's happening. Maybe some big players like MWell has been experimenting with that. I've seen good examples of focusing on developing telemedical solutions that would allow physicians and patients to have an almost lifelike relationship or consultation. I've seen examples of using AI to analyze data submitted remotely. That's what the whole idea of virtual wards is about. But to combine the two, I'm not sure about that. But let's think about the what if question. What would we need to use AI for during a remote consultation? Maybe as a patient, I have access to a smartphone connected ECG, and while I'm having a consultation with a physician, the ECG would be analyzed by an AI. But for that, I don't need a remote consultation. Even the AI on my phone with the app that the company developed can do that. So I see the combination here, but it's not because AI is being involved in remote consultations. It's just both technologies are being deployed and developed simultaneously. Marianne Schultz, welcome back to the channel. How can the average citizen become involved in transparency of algorithm development? Some say it's at the root of mitigating bias, I guess, and transparency. Right, I have no idea. The reason why is that I haven't come across anything like that. I'm not sure if we as average citizens should get involved into that, because if you want to get, as an average citizen wants to get involved in better understanding how these algorithms work, then why don't those average citizens want to get involved in understanding how bridges are being engineered, or how cars work? Or so why this technology is the example for citizens getting involved in better understanding the details and the basics, a technological background. I don't think it's needed. I think we have to elect healthcare and business and government leaders that we trust, that would create the systems, the frameworks needed to use these breakthrough technologies while keeping them safe and efficient. I think that's what we have to do. Doris Simonov, what are the top 3 ethical risks we face as we continue increasing our use of AI in health? And how do we tackle them? You want me to focus on this question next 20 minutes? So just 3, okay? One is definitely bias, meaning, just short example, every medical atlas has featured people like skin photos or skin lesion photos of people with fairer skin. So when developers started feeding the AI with such data, then of course the AI algorithm, skin checking applications, started making bad decisions with photos about skin lesions of people with darker skin. So bias is the #1 issue. Second is privacy, because it's impossible to keep our privacy intact and enjoy the benefits of AI. This is just impossible. Because without your precious data, there is no AI revolution. And I think that I could come up with 5 more, but if I have to rank the 3rd one, I would rank trust, because that's going to be the issue, the challenge that will lengthen the adoption, the evolution, the time we need to adopt this breakthrough technology. If I can think about how much time it will take me to sit in a car that's driven by an AI, I can only imagine how much time we will need to trust systems that will, make life or death decisions about patients' lives. And how do we tackle them? Well, let's for bias, we need the developers to consciously prepare for fighting the bias that their systems might have. You know, medical journals like the American Journal of Radiology have excellent papers and actual guidelines about that. Regarding the second one, which was privacy, I have no idea. It's just something that the average citizen must know about and acknowledge that you cannot benefit from using AI. Why not losing some of your privacy? And about the third one, I think only with time. Okay, now let's be more specific here. I think we only need a specific level of trust about these technologies. Like in the case of the MRI machine, a lot of physicians don't know how it works by the details. All of them I studied the MRI machine in biophysics classes. I couldn't tell now how they work while I got the best grades in the class. But I have a scientific understanding strong enough about that technology that I don't think that this technology could cause harm to my patients. I think we need a similar level of scientific understanding. Gavin Wasserfall-Smith had a very thoughtful question that I will try to share with you in a second. How do we make sure that we don't use AI to diagnose things with a high degree of accuracy that we can do nothing about? Isn't this just a recipe for anxiety? How is that different from physicians finding incidental diagnosis about you that you can do nothing about? How is it different from using a direct-to-consumer genomic test that might tell you about your risk for Alzheimer's disease you can do nothing about? So I don't think it's something that AI could bring into our lives. Maybe it can scale it up, but the issue of finding stuff you cannot do anything about is not AI related. It's just about medicine becoming more efficient and better at diagnosing things. Okay, Bhavin Barai, this question. How do we ensure that quality data is being fed into AI models to ensure there is greater accuracy in the answers? Should med schools and residency programs take a lead in this? Yes and no. I think it's easy to find out if your AI is accurate or not because you have to test it on real life settings. So I always look for, when I review, as a researcher, I review papers from high-level journals, and I always look for prospective studies. When an AI was developed based on a retrospective perspective, and then it was tested in a prospective setting, meaning that it was tested on real-life data, the same data that physicians have to face when they meet patients. So it turns out, and I think quite fast, how accurate that AI model is. But it's not something medical schools should take a lead in, but medical researchers and life science researchers and AI developers working on those algorithms. They have to make sure that they can always submit papers and studies and clinical trials that have meticulously analyzed the accuracy of their models on real life settings. Captain Michael, you can find a lot of stuff about this on medicalfuturist.com, but we are now trying to focus on AI-related issues, especially about generative AI. Jeff Middleton, the human mind has the ability to cross domains of knowledge to come up with new innovative ideas. Do you see AI being allowed to, trained to do the same by merging dissimilar large language models? I just saw a video like yesterday from one of the top AI scientists of OpenAI, and he talked about that just being able to predict the sequence of tokens should be enough to reach artificial general intelligence, the main level of AI. While who am I to disagree with him? But I do disagree with him. I think is today what large language models can do. They don't understand what you ask. They just divide or break your question into tokens. A token can be a syllable, a letter, letters, half a word, a full word, expressions. And they try to predict the sequence of tokens that will have the highest probability of making you content with the answer. And they understand nothing about what we are talking about, but they are extremely accurate at predicting the sequence of tokens, human language text, essentially. So in that respect, I think they are able to give us ideas and be innovative, even be creative in a human sense, even though they are just extremely efficient mathematical models predicting sequences of tokens. And if I can use that mathematical power to give me ideas or to run ideas through the large language model, then does it already, can it be categorized as you just asked, or it's still just a computer program? It's more like a philosophical question from that point. Here's a question from Bertalan Mesko. I'm sorry if I pronounce any of your names in the wrong way. How can AI be fast-tracked in public health systems as a screening tool in a way that's credible to both the patient and the provider? It just simply, I think, won't happen, because it would mean that it would be such a breach of privacy society-wise that I don't see any political party or government being brave enough to make it happen, even after going through COVID for 3 or 4 years. Or yeah, all right. Ayman Ibrahim has this question. How can I use AI in hospital digital transformation if the hospital greenfield or already in operation? I don't see that using AI is not a necessary part of assisting a hospital in going through digital transformation. I think patient design is a much more element of that process, meaning that you involve patients on the highest level of decision making of the organization. I think it's much more important than reaching out to AI. AI is only useful when you have repetitive and or database tasks that humans shouldn't be doing. Then AI might have a shot at that, but that might not even be needed for a hospital to go through digital transformation. Good question. Adis Lima, thank you for being here. Regarding regulatory approval, whether FDA or Europe, which startups have AI-based wearables approved or closer to receiving approval? All right. If I had to take a hunch, I would say Cardia with the ECG, the connected to the smartphone, already has one. I think EKO, the digital stethoscope, has one. And for the last few remaining parts, let me open up the 100 top digital health and AI companies that we shared with you a few weeks ago. And in that image, I will share with you the link in a second. We have a digital health device circle here, and we have AI, and in between you find like Clarius, Econus, and Butterfly Network, basically AI focused, AI-based ultrasound devices. And yeah, so maybe those would be the right examples. Or you can also find some portable diagnostic devices which are primarily AI-based, but Eco also uses AI. So you could find a lot of examples here. What I do is that I will just share the link to the infographic and you can check it out yourself and try to find the light. Okay, you know about that article. Katia Delgado, hi from Brazil. Thank you for the opportunity. What is your suggestion about the use of AI to access health score, a patient-focused tool to measure non-medical determinants of health? I have no idea. What is that health score? If you could elaborate on that, I would be happy to think about that. Hi Adis, you are more than welcome to ask questions here and ask me any questions through my email, which is on medicalfuturist.com, or through any of the social media channels we have. That's why I'm here to be able to help out with these issues. Okay, John Black had this question. How can we unite to build validation protocols for large language models for the FDA? I don't think we have to unite in that way. I think the FDA has been working on that, and there are great scientific publications about the need for regulations about generative AI and how like large language models could be categorized in a different category, a new category, and all this. And so I think we can be sure that the FDA and all the regulatory bodies in the world have been working hard on this issue, and you don't have to unite to help them out in that. Yassin Kadi, big fan. Thank you for being here. Have you used any of the AI scribes in your personal work? I'm a clinician in Southern California, and they are okay. Just wanted to see if you have experience. Not really. I haven't. I have friends, mostly surgeons who would like to use these tools. I would assume that one of the best ones could be those that are coming from technology giants, because I assume they have access to the biggest amounts of data, like Nuance from Microsoft comes to mind about this. And I think Epic also has these AI scribe tools. The problem is, the reason why maybe I haven't started testing them yet is I could find dozens of them, and to find out which ones to start with is already an issue. So I haven't used them. Linnet person, can generative AI help develop infographics? My experience so far with tools like DALL-E has been, I confess that this is a little disappointing, but perhaps it's me providing a poor brief. Recently, I asked DALL-E to make me a Venn diagram. I was very specific with what I needed. I think it was perfect, but it didn't look as great as if it would have been, made by a graphic designer. So I think these tools can deliver the message, they can perform the task they were given, but it will not look great, I guess, yet. But maybe there will be changes on that too. All right. Carlos, I just found your question. Yeah. So, Rob Charlton, how do you see AI's adoption affecting the carbon footprint of a hospital? In a very wrong way. AI will not improve the digital carbon footprint of hospitals. It will, of course, make it much worse. Developing AI solutions, it costs a lot of money, it takes a lot of human power, and running the servers, of course, it's leaving a huge carbon footprint. But maybe on the long term, it will become cost effective by making better healthcare decisions. We can remove the carbon footprint of patients by using AI in the patient journey. Of course, I cannot provide you with a scientific publication proving that already, but I think that's the vision that most scientists and clinicians are working towards. Is Joseph Caruza, is it possible to detect blood glucose and hemoglobin using heart rate variability? I have never come across something like that. David Wallace has a very interesting question. Is there any sector of health where AI is not applicable? Well, I think many. Whenever interactions between patients and physicians, would play the biggest role in treating or managing the patient's care, I think AI has no place in that. Whenever data is not involved, again, that's a domain where AI is not useful. Where human supervision is absolutely required, then again, AI has no place. So whatever basic human skills, from communication to creativity or intuition, would far outweigh the use of data and or text-based interactions. I guess those are the domains where AI would have no place even in the future. What are the, again, an interesting question from Balaji M. What are the immediate focus areas for AI in healthcare and life sciences for the next 6 to 9 months? Wow. One is definitely drug design and drug repurposing for mainly pharma companies, as this could be the lowest hanging fruit for them and the best return on investment. The second and most important thing for all medical professionals is reducing the burden on administration. That's the lowest hanging fruit for the healthcare industry in general. And I think the third would be improving patient-doctor or peer-to-peer communication with generative AI. These are the simplest solutions. And then, of course, we can talk about decision support and designing treatment plans and all these. But these three, I think, will be in the absolute focus. P.F. Anderson, currently access to AI resources is inequitable, especially in the context of global health and or persons with disabilities. How can we address this gap and lack moving forward? I think we published an article about that. I hope you don't mind if I share it with you, in which I try to prove that, yes, it's here, that AI equity and digital health equity is basically a technological equity issue. So no matter how good of work we in the digital health and healthcare AI space are doing, we cannot solve that gap, because if patients or physicians don't have access to technologies through which they can use these amazing solutions, then we have no ways of helping them out. It's more like a government-based issue than anything else. So I think it's a technological equity issue primarily. A question about regulation from Mary Jane Mulholland. Who monitors steps taken by developers of AI products? Is there any common oversight, locally or worldwide? Absolutely, absolutely. There are great regulatory bodies like the US Food and Drug Administration or the European Medicines Agency. And of course, there are country-based regulatory agencies too that are trying to make sure that only safe and efficient products can reach the market. There is no difference in whether it's an AI-based product or a digital stethoscope or just an analog stethoscope. If it's a technology, it must be at least as safe and efficient as a technology already in the market. So I think we can still, keep our trust high in that regard, that we can only use medical technologies in the practice of medicine and delivery of healthcare, which are tested and their safety and efficiency have been properly demonstrated through peer-reviewed studies and clinical trials. Well, I think we've covered almost all the major topics here. Eva NL, how much knowledge about AI should patient representatives have to have in order to make a meaningful contribution to AI health projects? Thank you, Ildiko, for being here with us from the Netherlands. Patient representatives, so not medical professionals, but those that help patients navigate in the jungle of healthcare. I assume that's what you mean by patient representatives. I think a very basic knowledge is understandable and could be expected even from them, only because if there is not a basic level of knowledge about this technology, then they will not have an oversight about what examples or case studies from that technological domain would be able to help out patients. And if you don't mind, I share an open access paper we published. It's called A Short Guide for Medical Professionals in the Era of Artificial Intelligence, but I think it can provide the same value to even non-medical professionals. I hope you will find that useful. So Katya, just to make sure, you want to use AI to access a scientific paper? I don't think that you will find help in that. Gustavo, according to a recent medical demographic census here in Brazil, more than half of doctors have been training for over 20 years and possibly do not have the level of literacy to use AI in healthcare. I have zero doubts about that. It's not just Brazil. I think no medical curriculum, like up until 2020, has ever focused on, ever transmitted knowledge about AI to medical students. I teach 2 courses at medical schools about AI, but a lot of medical schools have started doing that since the early days of COVID. So I think we are getting there, but of course it's a transformation that takes time. But now physicians shouldn't wait for medical associations and governmental programs to obtain the right amount of knowledge, but they can look at the paper or the open access paper I just shared in the chat and learn the basics themselves. That's my suggestion is. You just mentioned in the digital stethoscope, any tips for innovators building medical products that include both the hardware piece as well as the AI piece? I do have a piece of advice for you, that please don't start with the technology. Start with a real life patient or clinical need. And if you have a technology that can meet that need, then we have something to talk about. You can bring something useful to the market that will meet a real life patient or clinical need. But I often see startups focusing on a technology because that's what they can develop. And only after that, in the second step, try to find a patient or clinical need that they could meet. But that's not how medicine and healthcare works. It works vice versa. So I would definitely start with the patient or clinical need. How can, Bhavin Barai, how can AI in medicine be recognized as a specialty in itself? I think it cannot and it shouldn't. It's just a technology. It's like saying that why not using a stethoscope in cardiology is a medical specialty on itself. AI is just a tool or a tool set in the arsenal of methods that physicians can use to take better care of patients, but it shouldn't be recognized as a medical specialty in itself. Thank you, Gustavo. Of course, the course is also something we designed for that exact purpose. So to help physicians get an absolutely crystal clear understanding without any technical background or, programming, coding languages, to make sure that they know enough about this breakthrough technology. As we are heading towards the very end of this Q&A, and I've been doing my best to answer most of your questions. I'm not sure if I could do all, but I tried my best. Just again, I would like to share with you what we have been coming up in the last few months. One is the ebook we published, the 100 questions and answers about AI. And for just we have a video about that on the LeanPub site, and it's a report, so you will find amazing infographics and images and figures that will help you better understand all the amazing questions. And we have topics like questions about the basics of AI, like definition levels. We have generative AI covered, regulation, risks, advantages, real-life case studies, the difference between AI and generative AI, all these covered in that ebook. And the other thing is that we have over 600 students. I cannot tell you how happy I am by this fact that in the course we launched about 3 weeks ago. I shared the link in the chat again, a short guide to generative AI in healthcare, a fast track course. While you're having 1 or 2 cups of coffee or tea, you will get everything you need to know about this amazing technology. And we spent a lot of time trying to condense all the ideas, the definitions, the difference between AI and generative AI, the levels of generative AI, real-life case studies, risks, regulation, everything one has to know about this technology while making decisions in a business, in a healthcare setting, in a patient's life, in a professional or medical specialty. So I hope that you will find that useful. And of course, you can find us, the whole team, at medicalfuturist.com. We keep on publishing 2 analyses every single week about very exciting topics. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram, where we publish videos, analysis daily. I at least analyze 2, 3, 4 articles, papers, studies every single day, so you don't have to read everything. I do it for you. I'm your personal medical futurist in that regard. And you can find all these for free, of course, on all these channels. And if you want to support us, you can do that through 3 ways. You can buy the ebooks we have or the courses we launch. You can also become a patron on the patreon.com/themedicalfuturist. And you can become a subscriber or a fan on the YouTube channel. So more importantly, thank you so much for being with me throughout this almost full 1 hour. And thank you for these amazing, very thoughtful and insightful questions. These are the questions we put into the 100 questions and answers ebook. So you have motivated us to do so. And I hope that you will also take part in the next sessions in a few weeks about, again, hopefully exciting topics. So thank you again for being here with me. And I hope you are having an excellent day. So see you next time. Bye.